choosing your business battlefield is one of the most important concepts that a business must understand. So before you get into, driving sales, marketing, all of that good stuff, even how your operations are going to work, you've got to pick the battlefield, the market, and the market segment in which you're going to operate. And that first depends on whether you're a generalist or a specialist. So a generalist is going to be one of the top three. Sometimes it's four, sometimes it's two leaders in a market that have economies of scale and can produce their good or service cheaper and pass that along to the customer. It's going to be very hard for anyone else to compete with them across a broad market strictly because of their cost leadership. If you're a small company and you try and invade their battlefield, well, they're just going to be able to cut costs and still have a margin that's higher than yours and drive you out of business. If you're a specialist, you're obviously picking a very narrow segment of the market, and you are attacking that, and you're developing either some brand loyalty, meaning differentiation, or a cost structure within that narrow segment that's going to make you extremely competitive and immune from attack even from the larger competitors. So, in theory, what do you want? Well, you want the largest battlefield that you can get and still reasonably defend. And what does that depend on? Well, it depends on the competitors in your area. First of all, whatever you're in, the generalists in your area, but then also other niche competitors. And you want to make sure that you are attacking areas that they don't value. Your largest three competitors, the largest three competitors in your market, you would want to know kind of what are their plans, what are their historical businesses that they will absolutely defend at all costs. A conglomerate, whatever they started with, that's their core business and is something that they're likely to defend to the death in terms of price cuts. Whereas a diversification that they may be a little more willing to, not invest extra resources into that in order to keep it competitive if someone else gets in that market. Maybe large competitors, they have a cost structure that makes them only go after jobs or customers of a certain size, and as long as you stay under that size, you're fine. Maybe they don't go into a specific niche area because it's very specialized and there has to be additional resources committed to it, and maybe that's something that you can go into. Now, I'm assuming, if you're listening to this, you're not a generalist. In our business, we are in some areas and we're not in others, and so our approach and strategy is different under each of those circumstances. But you always hear the advice to niche in certain markets, and that's really what you're going after, is niches that are not defended heavily by competitors. And that's true in any given industry. So let's say you are a real estate agent. Well, maybe the luxury homes in this neighborhood comprising of 1,000 homes, well, there's obviously big commissions attached to that, and there's probably 3 or 4 agents that dominate that market. They market heavily into it. They invest in the community. They're seen all over the place. It's gonna be very expensive and very difficult for you to break in. But maybe there's a peripheral market around there that is not as heavily dominated by those 3 agents. And you would see that in markets where there's not dominant players, where it's widely dispersed. Those markets are probably not focused on by anyone, so they're kind of served by everyone, but not very efficiently. So, as you go about in your business, if you're that real estate agent, that's the type of market that you want to attack, is one where there's maybe one dominant person, if that. It's very fragmented. There's a lot of real estate agents serving the market. That's a good potential market to go into, as opposed to trying to compete in the lucrative high-end market that already has 3 or 4 agents that are kind of all over it. So that's just something to think about. And so again, that could apply to any business, but think very critically about choosing your battlefield. And that involves doing a lot of market research at whatever your capacity is. Obviously, if you don't have anyone to do the market research and you have to do it yourself, it's going to be a little more limited, and you'll just want to know general information about, who the major players are, what their general strategy is, down to, if you do have some resources, maybe you can call, customers and see what market share, competitors have. In that realtor example, you could at least go into your MLS and pull statistics and figure out on an Excel spreadsheet, who are the major dominant agents, so you can look in a certain area and find an area of houses where there's not a dominant agent. That'd be something that would take, probably 2 or 3 hours, but would give a newer real estate agent a huge amount of benefit kind of in the long term. So think about how you can really research your market and develop a strategy to pick your battlefield so that you're not fighting a battle that you can't win in the marketplace.